Today's lesson is on slope of a line. The slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x, which is also equal to rise over run. So first we'll look at a positive slope. For a positive slope, the line rises from left to right. So as we start on the left-hand side, we're going to rise as we go to the right-hand side. Now for a negative slope, the line falls from left to right. So if we start on the left and we go to the right, our line will fall. Now we're going to find the slope of a line. Tell whether the slope of the line is positive or negative, or if the graph shows a horizontal line. Then find the slope of the line. So for number 1, our line falls from left to right, so that would be a negative slope. Now we need to find our slope. We can use rise over run to find our slope. In order to do this, we're going to start with one of our points, and then we're going to go left or right till we match up with the next point, and then we'll go up or down from there. So if we start at -2, 3, we would need to go right, and we would go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Notice that this puts us right in line to go down to our next point, which is 3, 2. We're going to go down 1, which when we go down, we would say that's -1. So for our rise over run, our rise was -1 because we went down 1. And our run was 5. We went over 5. So our slope is -1/5. For number 2, you notice that we have a horizontal line. Now we need to find our slope. If we start at one of our points, we can do our rise over run. For our rise, we don't have to go anywhere. Our run, we go over. So we would go 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that we just had a run. We didn't have a rise. We couldn't go up or down on either of these to get to the next point. So our rise was 0, and we said that our run was 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 0 over 4, which is equal to 0. A horizontal line will have a slope of 0. Now for number 3. For number 3, you will notice that as we go from left to right, we are going to rise. So that would be a positive slope. Now we need to do our rise over run. So we can go ahead and do our rise. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for our run, we'll go over 1, 2. So our rise was 5. Our run, we went over 2. So our slope is 5/2. Now we're going to find the slope from a table. When we have a table, we can choose any 2 points. So if you look at number 4, our choices would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 8, and 7, 11. So we have 4 points that we could choose from. So let's just go ahead and choose the first 2 points. So we'll have 1, 2, and 3, 5. We can do our rise over run by doing the change in y over the change in x. So for our change in y, we have 5 for y on the second one, and 2 for y on the first ordered pair. So for our change in y, we have 5 minus 2. Now for our change in x. For x, we have 3 on the second ordered pair, and we have 1 on the first ordered pair. So we have 3 minus 1. Now we can simplify this, and 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So our slope is 3/2. Now for number 5, we'll do the same thing. We can choose any 2 points. So we have -3, 6, -2, 4, -1, 2, and 0, 0. So again, we can just choose the first 2 points. We can actually choose any 2 that we want. Let's try the first 2. So -3, 6, and -2, 4. So we want to find the slope, which we know that's the rise over run. But we also know that's the change in y over the change in x. So for our change in y, we have 4 in the second ordered pair, and we have 6 in the first ordered pair. So we have 4 minus 6. And then for x, we have a -2 in the second ordered pair, minus -3 in the first ordered pair. So now let's solve. 4 minus 6 would be 4 plus a -6, which equals -2. And then -2 minus -3 would be -2 plus +3. And -2 plus 3 is 1. So our slope is -2 over 1, which equals -2. Now we're going to use the slope to identify parallel lines. So which 2 lines are parallel? And then we'll explain. So what we need to do is we need to find the slope of each of our lines. We can do it with either method that we've already looked at. So we can do it where we do our rise over run, or we can do the change in y over the change in x. So let's go ahead and use the first method, and we'll see how many times we go over and then up or down. So we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we will go down 1, 2, which we know when we go down, that's a -2. So for the blue line, our rise was a -2, and our run was 6. -2, 6 simplifies to -1/3. Now for the red line. For the red line, we're going to go over 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go down 1, which is -1. So when we go over 3, that is our run. That was the bottom number. And then we went down 1, which is -1. That was our rise. So we did our rise over run. So for the red line, we have -1/3. And now let's look at the green line. So for the green line, let's do the same thing again. We're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to go down 1, 2. When we go down, remember that's a negative, so -2. So our rise over run, our rise was -2, our run was 7. So for the green line, our slope is -2/7. So we want to identify the parallel lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. So the blue line and the red line would be parallel because their slopes are the same.